looking for truth, then it would be better for me if I were to tell you something that's, because I understand what you're saying. The same way that I speak to my fellow academic friends is not the same way that I speak to, maybe a lay person or a person that isn't very knowledgeable. But the issue is that when it comes to somebody that's seeking truth and truly seeking it, wherever they may find it, they have no issue of reading a book on the topic that they're trying to discuss, man. And I think that, yeah, people can't have these giant philosopher brains. That's why you ask people the questions if you're confused on what you're reading,
Yeah,
right?
Okay, I'm kind of
honestly,
offended. I'm
myself
kind of
too.
offended that you guys think
I
I
feel
can't
it's
read
a
a book.
cop out
I
for
can read
like
a
a
book. You guys,
fully grown adult to just say, "Oh, well, I'm not into philosophy, therefore I don't want to listen to like religious philosophy." Unless that person like admits up front, "Hey, I'm not that smart. I'm not a stupid person." Or I mean, I am a stupid person. I just kind of like follow what's in my heart. That's
I am a
fine,
stupid
right? But
person. I follow what's in
once
my
one
I
heart.
think that's
claims
faith-based.
to have a question or to like, I'm searching for the truth and I don't believe it's here and stuff,
We're talking about
now you're in a
reasoning,
completely different game.
right? When it
I
comes to
mean,
philosophy, we're
honestly,
not talking. We're
honestly,
talking
if
about
you
reasoning, not your fifis, dude.
You know,
honestly, if you wanted me to read a book, you would talk about the book and the ideas in the book, and I'd get interested. But you haven't said shit. You've just referenced books. At least somebody else like talked about
well,
an
at least
argument.
someone's pointing you in the right direction
I'm not.
because
I'm
no one
not.
could
I'm not.
read the
Well,
book
I'm not
for
talking.
you.
I'm talking about apophatic. Dude, I
Oh.
want to hear one argument from apophatic. I want to hear one argument.
Sure,
You
I
talked
can
about the
present.
best.
I can present the argument,
Please,
but
please do.
without the background in philosophy, you won't understand it. It has to do with change in the actualization of potency from the Aristotelian model. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but you have the ability to explain it to me. So
Okay.
please.
Okay. It is evident in the world that there is change. Change is the motion or the move from potential to actual. For example, a cup of coffee is potentially cold, and that potency within the coffee is actualized by something external to itself, making it actually cold and not potentially cold.
Now that's understood as thermodynamics, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, thermodynamics is the degradation of something within time. This is very different to what I'm speaking of, right? So I'm speaking of act and potency, act and potentia, right? So potency would just be the capacity for a thing to change, or forgive me, it would be the capacity for a thing to be different than it is now, and then act would be actually or how it actually is now. So in the example that I gave, a hot cup of coffee is actually hot at the moment, but it has the potency within it or the capacity to be cold. And that capacity is actualized by something external to itself, which is the cool air around the coffee cup. Anyways, the first premise is that it is evident in this world that there is change. That's the most basic first premise, right? The second one
Agreed.
is that nothing can be the cause or the actualizer of its own potency at the same time and in the same sense. Now, this may sound weird, but I'm not saying that you can't be different than how you are now or you can't cause yourself to be different. I'm saying that one cannot be both actualizer and actualize at the same time and in the same sense, respectively. So you cannot be the one giving said actualization and the one receiving said actualization in the same respective sense. So there must be something external to yourself or external to the thing that is actualizing or external to the potency that is actualizing said potency, whatever that may be, right? This is also known as
No,
the
no, no,
premise that
no.
this
You've lost me within terminology, dude.
okay.
Yeah, because you're stupid. It's
Well,
okay
the
to admit that
term
No,
you're
because
stupid.
I didn't major in philosophy. That's why.
Yeah, it doesn't
see,
matter.
this is why
Then
reading the book matters, right? Because they actually explain all of the terminology and everything I'm talking about, but that's fine.
Well, why can't you explain it in lay
I
terms
did.
for everybody else? That's you use potency and you just defined a bunch of philosophical terms. What do you mean?
I
I
just defined them right now.
yeah, I think you're on the wrong team, man. Like most people don't actually have an issue with that.
I defined it. Okay. The potency within a thing
What?
is the capacity
The
for it to
wrong
be
team.
different. Can you, one second? The potency within a thing is the potential or the capacity for it to be different than it already is. The act or the actuality of a thing is how it actually it is right now.
So
Okay?
the
So
potency of something is their. So hold on, let me clarify. Like the potency of something is their potential, basically.
their potential or capacity to be different than they already are. For example,
I'll just say potential.
so for yeah, potency, potential. Yeah. So it's the potential or the capacity to be different than you already are. What that means is that
Okay.
a rotting flesh, right? Flesh rots over time. Your flesh didn't always rot. Okay? So there is potency within your body to rot when you die. There's the
Or
capacity to be
become a
different.
flower eventually. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But you can't go back. You don't have the potential as a dead body to become a human body. You don't have that potential.
Yeah, right.
I get it.
Exactly. There's some potencies you have, some potencies you don't have.
Right,
So
that's
I'm
why
just
it would be
saying that
considered
Okay.
a different quote
I
unquote
have the
metaphysical thing than a
right.
living body.
Like I have the potential to be a bodybuilder or to be a strong man or have big muscles. I have the potential. There's always potencies within me or capacities or potentials to change or to be different than I already am. Okay? That's the
Okay.
first thing. That's what
Yeah.
okay.
But does a
Actuality.
man have the potential to become a woman? Nope.
Oh no, okay, that's hilarious,
All right,
Abysmal.
my bad. I was sorry.
Um,
To be, yeah.
yeah. Do you have the potential
Continue.
to be
Sorry.
quiet? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, act,
Oh.
act, or actuality is how something actually is right now, right? So how it actually is and how it potentially is the two different things. For example, the hot cup
Okay.
of coffee is actually hot, but it is potentially cold. Is that very simple? That's called
Gotcha.
yes.
No, 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 no. You should break it down way more simply for me because I'm dumb. So.
Oh, I'm giving you very simple examples.
Oh no, I know, and I appreciate that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Keep doing
Okay.
that.
Okay. So when we say that change exists, change is the move from potency to act. Okay, what does that mean? The move from potential to actual is basically this. Something has, like, for example, the cup of coffee has the potency within it, or the potential, or the capacity within it to become cold, right?
And change is the movement from potential to
To
action. What
actual.
did you say?
Yes, to
Actual.
actual. So that potency, right, becomes actualized, right? Meaning
Gotcha.
that,
And that defines change. Gotcha.
yes. So change, okay, so the cup of coffee
That's
changes
the
from being,
delta.
the cup of coffee changes from being hot to cold. But this change is described by potency in act. It had the potential to be cold, it was actually hot, and then that potency was actualized by something external to itself, and
I'm on your
therefore,
wavelength now. Keep going. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. I get you.
yeah,
All right.
okay. Now, that's the first premise that it is evident that there is change in the world, that potential things become actual. That's literally all that means. All right, it's very simple, not trivial. Then the second premise, let me get it out. I'm gonna write it down.
It's very simple but not trivial. I appreciate that.
All right, now, um, let me put it. Okay, okay. So first premise: some things in the world change. All right. The second premise is that everything that changes, basically everything that goes from potency to act, is caused to do so by another. So what does
An
this mean?
outside influence. Some outside influence. Yeah.
Yes.
I got you.
So this is not saying that you can't move your own limbs, but one cannot be both the actualizer and the one receiving the actualization at the same time and in the same sense. So nothing can
So
be the
what about the
cause.
human body degrading? What about the human body degrading? Or like stuff like that.
So
The
okay,
human body degrades itself.
when I say nothing can be the cause of its own change, what I'm saying is that when something has its potency actualized, right? That potency is actualized by external forces. So the body degrades over time because of external forces, right?
Does it? Does it?
Yes.
I mean, if you put a body in a sealed like chamber and there is no air, it would still decompose, right?
No, it wouldn't. Not always.
That's a good experiment. Has anybody done that?
Yeah, it's called glorified bodies, bodies that don't decompose. But anyway, that's why we can like find woolly mammoths in like ice. You know what I mean? Because they don't decompose. Anyways, the point that I'm saying is all
No,
I'm
that's
saying
not
is
what I'm
that
talking about.
one second. All
Okay,
I'm saying is that
I'll move on from that. I'm sorry.
one cannot. Okay. So in philosophy, there's what's called a law of non-contradiction, where you can't have a contradictory position, right? Something cannot both be A and not A.
The law of what?
Non-contradiction.
On country. Okay, yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, so the point is that one cannot be both the actualizer and the actualized at the same time and in the same sense. In the same sense is the key word here, right?
Yes,
I'm not saying.
A and not B cannot exist at the same time.
Oh, okay. So the point that I'm
Yeah.
saying is nothing can be the cause of its own change, but I don't literally mean that you can't move your limbs or you can't grow muscles. I'm saying that there's always external forces for the change within a thing, right? That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Okay, that's
All
not a
right.
trivial premise. Okay, now here we go. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so therefore, things that move from potential to actual are caused to do so by something else. Okay, now there cannot be an infinite regress of actualizers of potency. That's the fourth premise.
I mean, just dressing it up in more arguments, you go back to the whole like
No, this
what
is more
caused God thing.
premises. More premises, right?
Yeah, more arguments, more axioms, whatever the fuck, dude. It
No,
goes
what?
back to the same thing that was the first argument.
Okay. What do you
Like
mean?
you're talking about causing, right? Well, it's
No,
causing.
not about
Like what
causes.
caused.
Not about cause. Nope. This is very different. This is about change. This is about what actualized that potency, right? Okay, so
So the
here's how I
actualizer of
understand it.
God was
In
what?
the hot cup of coffee,
What's the actualizer of God?
he doesn't have passive potency. There's no actualizer.
Well, there we go.
Well, that's the
So
entire
Aristotelian
argument.
again.
That's the entire
Great
argument.
argument. Great
One second.
argument.
One second. Stop.
Great
That's the
argument.
entire one second. That's the entire argument is that there has to be something that exists that does not have potency to be actualized, but itself
There
is
may
the
be something that
actualizer of
exists.
stop it.
Doesn't
Don't
mean it has
interrupt.
to
Don't
exist.
interrupt. Take this very slowly, okay? You'll end up getting it. There has to be a thing that does not contain potency that itself is the actualizer of everything else's potency. Why is that the case? There cannot be an infinite regress of actualizers which themselves contain passive potency. Why is that the case? If there were an infinite regress of actualizers which themselves contain potencies to be actualized, then it would lead to a conundrum where change wouldn't even exist. Right? So this refers to the
All right, I
hierarchical causal
that makes
series.
that actually makes sense. That makes sense. Within that framework, that makes sense. That actually makes
Okay.
sense. Okay. Okay. But
Okay.
still, like, go ahead.
Okay. So if there is an infinite regress of actualizers of potency that themselves have potency, it's gonna keep going on and on and on. And what actualizes that potency anything? What actualizes that potency anything? And what actualizes that? This is not the same as going back in time per se. Or like what caused that? What caused that? That's not the same. So there's two types of causal series. There's what's called a linear causal chain and a hierarchical causal chain. A linear causal chain is a chain that goes back in time. A hierarchical causal chain is where each thing in the chain depends upon each other. So when it comes to
And
the
they're
argue,
independent of time.
well,
They're in,
I wouldn't say that, but let me just get into this 1 second, right?
okay.
Because I'm getting onto something here. The
Yeah,
point
yeah.
is this: is that If there were an infinite regress, then there would not be change because change requires the actualization of potency. But if you can ever get to an actual first actualizer that himself is not actualized or has potencies that are actualized, then how is there any potency to begin with?
So God has self potency. That's the whole concept of God.
The whole
Like he has
concept is
self
that
potency.
he doesn't have potency. Nothing within him has potency. He doesn't change.
He doesn't have potential.
He does
Wait,
not have
I'm confused.
okay. He does not have the capacity to be different than he already is. He does not have change. That's the argument. He does not go from
The
potential to
classic
actual.
theology, kind of divine simplicity
Okay,
concept of God is
I thought change. I thought change referred to like transition between like two states. I thought
Well, yeah,
potential or whatever
yeah,
you
yeah.
called
So,
it in action. Those were actual like things that beings would
but one
undergo. So
one second.
I'm
Remember,
confused.
remember when I said change is the movement from potential to actual, right? So when we say
Right.
that change is a transition of states, yeah, it's a transition of states. But the way that we express the transition of states is that something was potentially this thing, and then it became actually this thing. That's the idea, right? So
And God doesn't. God never does. God doesn't change.
no,
That's
he
the
is
argument.
immutable. The argument
No.
is that there cannot be an infinite regress of actualizers of potential that themselves have potency, right? Because if that were the case,
Sure.
then change would not exist. This argument did not originate from Thomas Aquinas. It originated from Aristotle, and then it was explained by earlier church fathers like St. John of Damascus and St. Gregory the Theologian, and a lot of the Cappadocian fathers also taught this as well. But yeah,
I
Thomas
feel
Aquinas
like
got
I'm
it first.
still being a retard because I still
Mhm.
don't get it. But maybe
Well,
I'm
you're
just too
not.
hard headed.
It's
I
literally too boring and too abstract to
I
me.
recommend
scripture says that God did repent that he made man.
okay, so Dexter, here's the question. Um in the Bible it says I the Lord do not change, right? So the point is that when it says that he grieved him at his heart, this is first of all that's probably symbolical. The second issue that I would have to deal with is that when
Symbolic,
God
not symbolical.
symbolic for me, symbolic. And the second issue I would have is that if this is literal, then it's only in reference to his response to creation. His response to creation has nothing to do with potency within himself, but potency within creatures. This is a distinction between active and passive potency. This is a whole other discussion. So God has active but not passive potency. So no internal change, but only in relation to creation, right? Only in created things is there change. But
Right.
basically,
Correct.
I
So is
really
God and you? What is God the prime mover of all potential? Like, what's the whole? What's the idea of like drawing in this
okay
concept of
okay
potential in that?
okay. So the argument goes like this. Remember, I told you there cannot be an infinite regress of actualizers of potency that themselves contain potency because change would not exist. Therefore, there must be something that is the cause of everything else's change, i.e., an actualizer of everything else's potency, without itself having potency to be actualized, i.e., without itself having a cause for its change. That's the conclusion of the argument.
No, yeah,
And that
I
we
don't get
understand
the
to be God.
conclusion. I don't get the conclusion of the argument. I know you say Aristotle like came up with it, but like, why is that necessary? I still don't
Yeah.
get it.
So Aristotle, I want people to recognize this. Aristotle was not trying to prove God. Aristotle was trying to explain how change is even possible. How can there be the actualization of potency? And he argued that there cannot be an infinite regress of actualizers of potency because change would not exist if that were the case. That's the entire thing, is that the entire chain, per se, collapses if there is no first actualizer without himself being actualized.
Yeah,
That's
but
the actual
why
view.
they why name that God and proclaim him like the creator of the universe, and give him
Hmm.
attributes and say he had a son? Why not just say we don't know, and actually we figured it out. It was the Big Bang, and we don't know what happened before it. Actually, time didn't exist
Okay,
before.
so the Big Bang, I'm sorry, but that's potential and actual, isn't it? Anything that is material and made up of matter contains potency, contains change.
Within the Big Bang, it's theorized that like at a certain point, time didn't exist. Like if you go into a black hole, time
Okay,
actually
is
doesn't
the
exist. Like
expand
it collapses on itself.
is the expansion of the universe a potential that was actualized? Yes. Is the Big Bang the
Yes.
expansion of the universe? Does it have potency? Yes. So that just kicks the can down the road. Okay, let me make this very
Sure.
simple for you. Nothing material, nothing composite, meaning that nothing that is made up of matter, nothing that is made up of
Got it.
parts. There can only
I
be
know
a
it. Yeah.
simple, there can only be a simple, eternal being that is actus purus, which means pure actuality with no mix of passive potency, that accounts for change. If the conclusion of the argument is that there is something that is immutable, this thing must be simple. This thing must also be the cause of everything else. This thing must also be what is considered, um, what is considered
So
actus
maybe
purus,
God is
right?
the Big Bang. What's the problem with just saying God is maybe the Big Bang and
Because
just
the Big
leaving it
Bang
at
is
that?
material.
The Big Bang had a beginning. That's the problem here.
No, it didn't. Time didn't exist before the Big Bang.
You would agree the Big Bang introduced time, space, and matter, correct? So
Yes,
what do you mean?
that's kind of my. That's what I was saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So it's material.
Yes. So the Big Bang is material, therefore it has change. So all okay. Do you agree with this? You're a physicist, right? You study physics. Do all material things have entropy?
As far as we can tell, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's a law of
So
entropy.
if everything that is material has entropy, isn't entropy a kind of change? Remember we were talking about earlier the degradation of time over time of like a human body or of a book that withers, right?
I mean, we used to call it change as physicists, but yeah, entropy is change. That's the definition
Okay.
of it.
Okay. So all material things have entropy, right? Okay, so if all material things have entropy, and entropy is a kind of change, and the Big Bang is material, therefore the Big Bang has change. So what actualizes its potency?
Unfortunately, entropy was only ever introduced when time was. So that we
Wait,
go back to like.
one second. No, wherever there is matter and energy, there is entropy.
No, no, no,
That's
not
not
without
true.
time. Not with that. No, 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 not without time. The arrow of time is what propels entropy forward.
So was the
Yeah, but
Big
time is a
Bang?
property. It's not a substance, you dum dum.
Yeah, time is a
You're
property.
f-
Yeah,
you're such a sophist.
but the point is
Not you,
that
apophatic. This
I know.
physics wannabe.
But the point is that time is a literal measurement of change. And if change
All right.
always exists with matter, then there must have been a
All right.
time when Big Bang was.
First of all, time is not a physical property. It's something we've
We
observed.
didn't
There
say
are
that it
actual
is
like
a physical
there are theor-
property. It is a
there are
mathematical
theoreticians
property,
that
you dum dum.
theorize that time it doesn't even exist. The time doesn't actually mean anything except in the presence of entropy.
Oh, well,
That's what
great for you to
entropy
clarify
is.
it only after we called you out on it, you dumbass.
Okay, let me ask you the question. The Big Bang expanded, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it
And
didn't.
before it
Well, expanded the universe. Yeah, sure.
yes, and before it did not expand the universe, right?
We don't have a conception of before because
Right.
time did not exist.
Okay, I'm saying that it had not actualized, or forgive me, it had not expanded before it expanded, right? Obviously.
Again, you're using the word before, so it's
Right.
not
There was
obvious.
no
There's
before.
no
It's
time.
kind of the whole point.
Oh my gosh.
It's a circular
Okay,
argument.
so the
That's
It's
Big
why.
so
Bang did the
retarded.
Big Bang have a
That's why
Something
beginning?
like
physicists
that.
all say we don't know. We don't
Did the
fucking
Big
know.
Bang have a
There was
beginning?
no before, dude.
The Big Bang. We don't know if the Big Bang had a beginning. I don't know.
So do you believe in eternal matter? Do you think matter is
Well,
eternal?
unpack that. What do you mean?
Do you think that matter existed forever and has always existed even before time?
Forever, as in since the beginning of time? Yeah, obviously.
No, has it existed even before time?
I don't know how matter came to be, so I don't know.
I'm asking, did it exist before time?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're asking very fundamental questions that
Well, I
Okay, do
mean,
I
you
don't
agree?
have an
according to
answer to.
science,
But,
no,
I mean,
like
no,
we
this is
just
yeah,
not
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
We
true.
yeah.
just don't know. I'm
Hold on.
sorry.
But Feynman, you're the one asking questions about. You're shifting the goalposts to asking questions about fundamental physics, and now you're the one that's gaslighting now. They're saying, "Hey, wait. Why are we talking about fundamental physics now?" After asking questions within fundamental physics, are you fucking
I'm not.
serious?
I'm not
No.
trying to change the
Feynman, how
goalpost.
much of a degenerate are you?
I don't know what you mean.
No, all you have are like a chain of tangents, right? You started asking him fundamental physics questions, and then you're gaslighting him for trying to answer or talk about fundamental physics.
Actually, I'd like to know if he feels like I
You're a
gaslighted him because
sophist.
I don't. But
yeah,
here's
thank
the
you.
thing.
I appreciate that.
Here's the thing, though, is all right. The Big Bang contains passive potency. Therefore, there must be something that actualizes its potency. So that just kicks the can down the road. That's the point that I'm trying to prove.
And in my opinion, that's what I brought up with the whole skeptic thing, man. Like I'm a skeptic through and through. You can't you don't have there's no evidence for anything, really. If you go back that far, we don't know. The whole thing is we don't know. And we're trying to figure it
Actually,
out.
I'm a skeptic, but I believe that we can also reason to pretty much anything.
Yeah, you're what we
Well,
call a naive
unfortunately,
skeptic, Feynman. You're a universal skeptic.
So the thing
right.
is that
Appreciate that.
we can understand that all things that are made up of parts have contain passive potency. All things that have a beginning contain passive potency. Everything that is everything that we would say is okay. The Big Bang is material, right?
Yes.
Material things are composite, meaning they're made up of parts, right?
Material is material. You're right. Yeah, totally.
Okay, and it's made up of parts, right?
Atoms and eventually like quarks, and we don't know what's beyond, but yeah, energy. We
Yeah,
could say energy.
it's composite. It's composed. It's made up of parts. That's the
It's
idea.
made well. It's not made of parts. Actually, back like way back before the universe, right after the universe like started, it was all energy. So
So now you have a meta theory now for the beginning of the universe. So you believe in energy.
no, I said
Well,
right after the universe
how
started.
about I put this back on you, Fane,
This is
man?
amazing.
I'm a universal skeptic. I don't believe we can go back that far. How did you reason to that?
We have telescopes.
How did you reason to those telescopes
Teles
being accurate and the observations being accurate?
How did I reason to the telescopes? We looked
So
through
are
them
you
and
claiming
then
that
we saw
energy is
like
observable now? Is
and
that your
we saw
thesis?
weird densities
I mean, it's just so
and what
odd
we
that we
saw
can
in
go all the way
It's
back in
crazy.
what we
time and
saw
look
on the
back. It's
spectrometer
just
is
unbelievable.
not exactly particles. So we like worked backwards and then we figured out, oh, they're not particles.
And then, like
Actually, they're
two minutes later,
component
two
particles.
minutes later, he
We're
literally
looking
goes
for
back a long
infrared
time.
radiation, Feynman. That's not the same thing as quote unquote energy, you dumbass.
That's literally energy. E equals HF. Energy is frequency. That's light. You're a retard.
That's not according to the current standard
That's
model, you dumb
according to
shit.
all
Okay,
fucking like
okay.
every
This
Standard
is going
model
past the
is
point that I was
assuming that
making.
there's an actual
All
particle,
material
you dumb
things are
shit.
E equals HF. Light is energy.
okay.
That's how
All
the fuck
material.
all electrons and all proton. That's
Okay.
how the fuck
Okay.
the world
All
works, dude.
material things are composite. Composite things have passive potency. Big Bang is material. Therefore, Big Bang is composite. Therefore, Big Bang has passive potency. Kicks the can down the road. What actualizes its potency? That's my argument. Shit.
I get it. What I'm saying is that you don't have any proof what actualize. Why does God have infinite like action energy? Like he just has it.
I'm saying that
When we
God does not contain passive potency. So he's not material. He's
no,
not
he's action.
composite.
You just
He
said
doesn't have
no,
a
no, no.
beginning. He's
I finally like
simple.
picked up. Yeah, he's action. right? He's not potential. He's
He is
actually
actuality, pure
actuality.
actuality.
Right. Pure actuality. So nobody gave that to him. He just had that from the beginning.
Why would somebody give him something if he doesn't have
Okay,
potential?
Yeah,
so
this is
Wait,
the
wait, wait,
thing,
wait,
man.
one
Now
second.
we're arguing
One
about
second.
the beginning of time.
Wait, guys. We just said God does not have passive potency. Then you asked who gave him that? Are you serious? Giving is a temporal thing. He doesn't exist within temporality. He exists with internality. So he wasn't given anything temporally. Otherwise, we would understand him to also have passive potency,
All right.
which, as I
I
said,
think we end this debate by saying God is the Big Bang. So I
and
think
I
that's
just
what.
told you that the Big Bang is material. Material things are composite. Composite things have passive potency.
And God
Therefore,
created
and God doesn't have
God
passive
created
potency.
the
Therefore, he's
universe.
not the Big Bang.
If God didn't create the universe and didn't start the Big Bang, what did?
God did.
Okay, so then
Yo.
we're in agreement.
Oh
So
shit.
just
You
because
guys,
God created the universe with
I'm
the
in
Big
a
Bang does not
different
mean that
portal than you
He is
guys.
the Big Bang. There's a difference.
Yeah.
It could mean it.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
No,
wrong.
it
No. You
couldn't
guys are
at
both
no,
all. In
wrong.
no
I wasn't
way.
wrong
So
too.
Go
no,
ahead,
so
Ty. Ty's
can
been
I?
wanting to speak.
since
Go
the
ahead,
Big
Ty.
Bang has potency, I mean, I think this is the problem with like a lot of secularists, just in general. When you when you guys give these criteria for proof, I think you have the wrong perspective on it. I think the problem with a lot of scientists is they're taking this like naturalist type of approach that we need empirical evidence to prove everything, but that's exactly the problem. I would question that framework in that way of thinking
We actually began
that
the
that
conversation like
all of
that, by the way.
all things
That's a great
all
point, man.
things in the universe, well, we just hold on a second. I would say that all things in existence and all things in the universe can be reduced down to naturalism. There are clearly immaterial concepts and things which exist in this universe which empirical evidence cannot account for.
Ty, that's great that you brought this topic up, Ty, is because at the beginning of the conversation I said that there's a hierarchy of evidences and that philosophical evidence is far above empirical evidence, and I gave a pretty good argument for it. But go ahead, Ty.
Yeah, no, like yeah, that's what I'm saying. By naturalists, I just mean that everything, this idea that everything in our existence or everything in this universe can be reduced down to just material concepts. Obviously, we know that's not the case, since things such as math and these other abstract concepts exist, which empirical evidence cannot explain or account for. That's like the issue with that belief system.
Math proves God. Okay, what the fuck?
All right.
Well, I
So
wasn't even necessarily getting to that
He was
that
saying that
automatic
there is
proof. I
metaphysical
was saying,
concepts which are not under the guise of empirics.
yeah,
Empirical studies don't prove anything. It is a very, very limited framework
limited
of
scope.
study.
It's a
You
very
know what?
limited
You know what?
limited
Hey,
scope. It only
here's what faith proves. Faith
it
proves
only
nothing
accounts
as
for.
well. You
Well,
guys
I
have
wasn't
faith.
I wasn't
Well, you know
done.
what? You know what?
I
I don't
wasn't
have
done.
faith, as Thomas Aquinas says. I have faith and reason. There's a difference. I can
Yeah,
reason
yeah,
my
and
faith.
right.
speaking
I
of
don't think
speaking of
faith has to be
Aquinas, to
mostly
get
reason.
back to like you were talking about the Big Bang, like Aquinas. Have you heard of Aquinas's first way? I'm
Nick, I
assuming that.
just
We already
presented that
debated
argument.
that.
Nick, I
No, no,
literally just
not you. I'm saying Fane. I understand you
no
probably
Fane.
have.
No, Nick. No,
Yeah,
that's the argument I just presented to Fane. I just explained everything to him. I first of all, I
yeah.
explained
No,
active fluency distinction in Aristotle. Then I explained
mhm.
the argument from Thomas Aquinas' first way. We've
Yeah.
already been
I
through
just
this.
got here recently. I don't know
Okay.
exactly when I jumped in. Yeah, but
Change is
Okay.
potential. I get,
I
or
heard you guys
change
talking about the Big Bang. I was
requires
like,
Change is the
potential.
movement from potential to actual.
Change,
Yes.
no. Potential equals action. I get that, and there has to be a
No. Oh
primeval,
God.
like actualizer. I get that whole
I'm
argument. I get
saying
that.
that there has to be an actualizer, which itself does not have to be actualized, i.e., containing passive potency. So if you give
But
an
why
example,
do you?
wait, stop.
Why?
So if you give an example, because change wouldn't exist if that were
But
the case,
why do you stop? Like that's the thing. Same thing with the fucking like
because
the
change wouldn't
argument.
exist. Remember earlier, you agreed change would not exist unless there was
Just
something that
all
can
right. Just
account for
because
change
one
itself.
thing can't exist doesn't prove your argument. What
How
if
can the
this didn't
mutable
exist?
how can the mutable
Therefore, I'm
account for the
right.
mutable and not
If
the
I'm not
immutable for the
if this
mutable?
thing doesn't exist, therefore I'm right. No, that doesn't mean you're right. That doesn't make any
No, I
sense.
present. Yeah, it's a straw man, by the way. I never said that. My
Yeah.
argument, my argument. I presented each premise to you very clearly in the conclusion which follows from said premises. The argument was very, very simple. If there were an infinite regress of actualizers of potency that themselves contain passive potency that needs to be actualized by something external to themselves, then it would lead to the impossibility of the existence of change itself, and the movement from potential to actual would not be possible. Why is that the case? Because in a hierarchical causal chain, if you have an infinite regress and not something that grounds the chain that itself is not within the effects of said chain or in the actualization of said chain, right? Um, then it leads to where the entire chain collapses.
All right, dude.
That's the understanding.
I just got it. You're right, and I'm totally wrong. My whole I'm now a Christian, so you're
I'm
right.
saying I recommend you watch
No,
the
I'm wrong.
video.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So you're right.
Well, I mean,
I'm
you are
wrong.
wrong.
You
You
see,
are wrong.
that's the thing, Fane. Fane, you're just copping out, and it turns out, right?
Yeah,
Like
you're just
when we
coping.
even talk about fundamental physics, it turns out that your understanding of even fundamental physics is nothing but like coping mechanisms, right?
Listen,
Yeah, this
Like,
listen.
you're
here's the
just
thing:
this
it
is
might
coping.
be unfamiliar to you, Fane, but like that's kind of like what metaphysics is all about, right? I think you're just kind of out of your
Wait,
depth. You're
what,
trying to make other
do you want to
metaphysical
talk about?
claims
Do you want to
based
talk
on
about?
natural
Do you want to talk
sciences,
about?
right? And
Hey!
you
Stop
actually don't
talking
know how to
shit.
create like a
Right.
Where'd
coherent,
you get this shit? I don't know
picture
physics.
of quote
What?
unquote
Yeah,
the
and
being of the
Where'd
that's
you
what I'm.
get?
universe. You know what
That's
I
what
mean?
I'm
No,
saying.
no,
Where?
no, guys, don't
That,
speak bad about him, dude. I mean, see, listen, every physics guy is gonna apply physics to every argument, even though it's like a totally different
Right, but
category.
you know,
But
it's it. I mean, I mean, you're I think you're a better character than I am apophatic, but it's pretty clear, like, we have observable data now at this point. Physics people are just coping. At some
yes,
point,
you're
like,
right.
you
You're
do
right.
kind of have to
You're
call
right.
them, to
You're
account,
right.
and
No,
that's
he's
kind of
right.
like where we're
I'm
at
not
right
denying.
now,
I'm
currently
not
in the
denying
debate in
that you're right.
science as well.
You're correct.
Okay,
The
all I'm
fundamental
saying, listen,
model is collapsing. He's right. I'm
Fane,
not going to
all
deny
I'm
that.
trying to say is that faith is not opposed to reason, and that there are numerous other arguments, just like the one that I gave, that are enriched in metaphysics and ancient philosophy, right? And the understanding of the world.
I
The
know. I know.
point,
I need to see God, man. I need to see actual substance. I can't rely on arguments. I have to
well,
actually
the
see.
the issue is that that's not reasonable.
that's the
You
issue
don't.
though. There.
That's not reasonable because
Well,
Yeah,
you
that's
don't
just
that's the
rely.
tangential.
scientist,
One
That's
bro.
second.
That's the
tangential, Fane.
scientist.
You do not
So listen,
rely upon an empirical. One second.
you guys
You do.
understand it's science, right? It's
You
science.
do
You have
not.
to
You
test
do
it.
not rely upon empirical evidence to tell me that you're talking to me right now. You know that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we're trying to
How do
refute.
you?
This
Okay, let me
No,
ask
idea.
you
I
a
do.
question. Let me
Do.
try and put you into retrospect.
I mean,
How
I
do you know you're
understand
talking
how
to
a
me right
computer
now?
works.
How do you know
I
that? Can
understand how
can
a
can
computer
you show
works.
me the
How
peer-reviewed empirical study that we're having a conversation? Can you do it right now?
I
What's
can
the
show
empirical
you
evidence?
I can show you a bunch of papers about the internet and how it works if you want.
Okay, can you do it
You want
without
like
begging the question?
you want manuals about how this shit works? Like it's pretty
No, no,
obvious.
no. 1 second. How are me and you talking right now? Can you justify that
What
me and you
what
are talking?
empirical evidence lets us know that you can trust your senses? What empirical evidence explains that?
Yeah, what empirical evidence explains how you trust your senses?
You shouldn't trust your senses. That's a good point. Very good point. You shouldn't.
So
You
you
should
can't trust
test them.
empirical studies because your empirical studies come from your
No.
senses.
You should test. You should test what you see, what you sense, always, and ask other people and have them repeat it. That's called science, guys.
No, it's called consensus.
I just need to
That's
listen.
It's not
I
consensus.
just need to be
The
flown up into
No,
methodology
it's
space,
is
and
the
not. Well,
science.
I need to be
it is
Consensus
like,
is
based
not,
on
you dum
consensus.
dum.
bro. This argument is such a flawed argument that you're
It
making.
is.
You are limiting your scope to an empirical and scientific basis. When I just proved to you earlier that science relies upon philosophical, metaphysical,
Saying you
epistemological
proved it to me
categories.
like applies like means I fucking accepted it. I don't. I didn't accept it. You didn't prove shit to me. Don't say you proved it to me.
So that's why apophatic. When you're talking to a universal skeptic, you can't assume that we're gonna come to like a constructivist conclusion out of it.
which is good. That's
You,
that's a
you
good
have a
thing.
very good
We
intent,
we
Well,
we should have
empathetic, but
skepticism
once you
led me to
identify the
Christianity because instead of caring about my fifis and my feelings, and instead of caring too much about what I see, maybe I
you
should
got
care
really
about
into
what's
logic and
reasonable.
reason. I know. You got really into logic and
Yeah,
reason,
I'm a
and
very logical person. I think it's quite
you
illogical.
neglected the whole point, which is that you should test what you see or
I
what you
well,
think.
well, I do test what I see, and I do test what I think. It's called logic.
Can you put consciousness in a
That's
test
not
tube?
testing it.
Can you
That's
Can
put
not
you put
can
testing
you
it.
can
can
you
you put
look under the
consciousness in a
rock for the laws of logic?
You can put
Did
your
you find the
ideas
laws
into
of
a test
logic
tube
under a rock,
if they're
dude?
physical.
Do you
Here's
not
the thing.
everything is
That's the
proved? One
problem.
second, one second. Do
Not
you
everything.
agree that not everything is proven in the same way? Do you agree?
Yeah, not everything's proven
The
by
same
empirical evidence.
way. One
Mathematics is
second.
often
This
mathematics is
the
often
same.
proven wrong.
Stop.
We
Feign.
accept.
Feign. Feign. Stop.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the same way that you prove to me that you love your wife the same way that you prove to me gravity?
Obviously not.
No, obviously not, dude. We prove different things in different ways. So when you want me to prove an immaterial, simple, immutable category, I'm sorry, dude, but I'm not going to appeal to mutable things within my empirical senses to do so. Not
Okay,
everything is proven in
then
the same way.
God is outside the realm of empiricism. Then that's
And
fine.
that's why we justify God with philosophy because it is the queen of reasoning. So
And the thing about philosophy and
I
logic is
applaud you for
we might
admitting
be
that you're
wrong.
being
We might be
illogical.
wrong,
I
but
applaud you for
we don't.
that.
Right. So here's the main thing, man. Mathematics has had so many wrong ideas, and then somebody came along and proved it was wrong with logic, pure logic. It was thought to be logical. A bunch of mathematicians, all the smartest guys in the world, thought it
Yeah,
was right.
that was the
Yeah,
whole
yeah. Yeah.
debate
So
between
this
the
is so this.
formalists and the intuitionalists, right? And then Gödel comes
I
along with
can't
his
even make a
theorem,
point.
right? The incompleteness theorem, right? And we understand that even in mathematics, logic applied to mathematics, that there are certain axioms in math that can't be that can't be proven true or false. We understand this.
I'm gonna take a smoke. I
All
love you
right.
guys.
You were
Peace.
smoked.
I am smoked. Yeah, you guys totally own me.
Yeah, I
You're
mean,
hell no.
I just think this way of thinking is exactly the problem. They've reduced their metaphysical system to just being all about empiricism and about empirical evidence.
Yeah, dude. When I ask you something's composite, mention atoms and protons and fucking quarks. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of thing.
Like all of existence can't be reduced down to that. There's obviously immaterial things there's immaterial concepts and abstract things we accept.
Metaphysical categories and metaphysical concepts
Yeah,
cannot be proved by physical means. It is the
right,
explanation for physical things that we observe, not the other way around.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Physical things are the explanation for metaphysical categories. Metaphysical categories are explained by the observances, or they're explaining the physical things, right? The issue.
Yeah.
Well, well, they can, but anyways, I don't want to get in that. I don't. I'm just gonna end up being tangential.
Yeah, dude.
You're just a nice guy, apophatic.
I agree
Well,
that
dude, no, actually, I'm quite a mean guy. Like, trust me, I'm not usually this nice.
Well, today you've been. Today
Today
you
he
seem
has some
very
pretty
happy.
nice things. Yeah.
Like, I remember, Ty, do you remember when I was in the Roman Catholic server and I told you how the Pope's guards wouldn't stop me? Remember
Yeah.
that?
Yo, apophatic, you should check this video out. This one of like the newest videos from Sabine Hassenfelder. Like basically the same fucking team that's like, oh, there's like time scaling and double Big Bang that accounts for dark energy is the same fucking team that just came out with another fucking paper that's claiming that string theory is falsifiable. What?